be very, very quiet. I'm hunting wabbits. Actually, I'm hunting flamingos and egrets and any other bird or wildlife that would like to present itself for a photo opportunity. I've actually come to test out a theory that this is a better setup for wildlife photography than the gear that I would normally bring out. On paper it certainly should be, but does that work out in the real world? Let's find out. I hope you'll enjoy the video. If you do and you're new here, don't forget to hit subscribe before you go. Hi everyone, thanks for joining me. So I'm back at El Fondo Natural Park. I was here a few weeks ago and I concentrated on a little bit of fine art type stuff and some wildlife, or more specifically bird photography. Now I brought my normal camera gear out, which is stuff that I use all the time. It's lightweight, it's very flexible and compact, and that's the reason that I use it. It's a little Canon M50 and the longest lens that I've got for it is a 55-200, which with a 1.6 crop means I've got field of view equivalent of 320mm. Now I did say on that shoot that actually 320mm wasn't a lot for wildlife photography, and I did struggle to get some of the shots of things like the flamingos. So today I've pulled this out. Now this is my old Nikon D810. This was the camera that I used to use all of the time. This and a whole load of lenses, and the reason I stopped using it was because the combination of the bodies and the lenses meant it was very heavy. I've got a bad back, and that's why I went over to a lightweight solution, but I've kept it. I've actually broken one of the lenses. The lens mount snapped on my 70-200. Well, I've got this, which is a Tamron 150-600 lens, 150-600. So that's got almost twice the reach of my 55-200 on the crop sensor body. This is a full frame, 36 megapixel. So not only have I got a longer lens, but I've got the option to crop in quite a bit in post while still keeping a very usable image. So as I said, on paper this should be a much better option for wildlife photography than my normal gear, and I decided to come out today and just put that to the test and see what kind of images I could get, and kind of look at what I can do with this. Now obviously it's not a controlled test because it depends on what I see, and I might see different things than I did last time, and I'm certainly not going to be walking as far as I did last time because this thing is pretty heavy on its own without any other stuff. Anyway, I'm not going to get things tested by standing here talking. I need to get out and find something to shoot. There's a flamingo out here which is providing me with a really nice subject, nice and clear, and certainly going to play around with a few shots of this at different focal lengths and angles. The long lens is certainly helping me to get a lot closer in. The downside is it's a lot heavier to hold. I'm finding I'm really needing to kind of brace myself a lot of the time, otherwise it just gets too wobbly and too shaky. I guess I could have brought a tripod, but it kind of takes away the flexibility. There's some ducks down here that might be worth a quick shot. I like a duck. I've got it flapping its wings, hopefully. Maybe, I'm not sure. A few shots down around that sort of walkway and bridge over that particular bit of the reserve, and I've come around now to one of the observatories or hides or whatever they are. Last time I came to this one I beat a hasty retreat because it was full of wasps. I don't know what the situation is going to be today. I guess we'll see in a minute, but first just a quick word on the way I've got this lot set up. This is a very different setup to the way I would have this setup for landscapes. First of all, for landscapes I almost always used to use manual focus on this. Today that's not practical, I'm using autofocus. On the lens I've got the vibration control or image stabilization turned on. I said I'm using autofocus, I'm actually using autofocus continuous because my subjects are moving, and even the ones that are moving slowly might well be moving in the frame if I'm kind of, kind of tracking them and moving around. I'm using spot metering. What that means I can do is when I see a subject I can quickly place the center of the frame over the bright part of the subject and get a reading on what the exposure should be. What I've found, particularly if you've got kind of very pale coloured subjects, which things like the flamingos are, well, what tends to happen if you're not careful, you blow them out. Now I'd rather underexpose the image a little bit because it's much easier to recover shadow than it is to recover highlights that are blown out. So I'm using spot metering. I'm using aperture priority mode, and I've kind of got it set on f8 at the moment because at the full extent of the 600mm it doesn't have a massive amount of depth of field, and f8 hopefully will keep at least my main subjects sharp back to front. It's on aperture priority, but I've also set my minimum shutter speed and auto ISO, so if my shutter speed drops below 1/1000th of a second, the ISO will automatically increase to go up to about ISO 3200. I think probably that's about as far as I'd be comfortable to go with images from this in terms of the ability to recover a decent image from a noise point of view. But it's important to me to keep my exposure time fast. This is 600mm focal length at the longest end, so I need a pretty fast shutter speed just to compensate for any camera shake because I'm shooting handheld. And also my subjects are moving, so I want to keep a fast shutter speed to hopefully capture any movement if I'm lucky enough to catch a bit of action going on. So that's the way I've got this set up. I'm not saying that's the right way to set it up, it's just the way I've done it. Other people will have very different ways of doing it. Right, let's go and have a look and see if this hide is wasp free, and if there is, we'll see if there's anything to see from it. Okay, so I've come in here. I'm getting a warning message on here that the temperature's too high and my Wi-Fi is disconnected. And I'm not sure if that's shutting my microphone off or not. It doesn't appear to be, so fingers crossed. I've come in here, I can't see that there's loads of wasps in here, so I'm going to have a little look through the windows, see what there might be to see and photograph from here. Again, I've got a long lens, so even if they're a distance away, hopefully I can get something worthwhile. got another observatory over here, so I want to go and see what we can find there before I start heading back. And a wasp. Some beautiful butterflies flying around here. Somebody once described golf as a game of trying to put a ball in a hole with a tool singularly unsuited to the task. Photographing butterflies with a 150 to 600 lens is equally as stupid, but we've got to give it a go. I've got no idea whether any of these are coming out because it's the wind's blowing, the butterflies are moving. Just trying to hold the composition with this lens is tough. Never mind actually get it to focus as well. This is actually something that would be a lot easier with the 55 to 200 maybe. I've said it before, I'm not really a wildlife photographer, so I'm not expecting anything too fantastic from today, but it's been a lot of fun. And I came out to pose a question, and the question is this a better setup for wildlife photography than my usual little camera and much smaller lenses? The answer is a qualified yes. It's qualified for two reasons. One is I haven't actually seen the images on the computer to see how well they've come out yet. Now, if I've not been able to get any kind of decent images from today, then it would seem to me that this is not a better option, at least for me, than using my normal lightweight small camera gear with the shorter focal length lenses. But even if I have managed to get some decent images, the other thing that has to be bear in mind is this is a lot harder to shoot with. For a start, it's a lot heavier. Shooting pure handheld, you know, like this, is actually really difficult. Just, you know, even to set a shot up at 600mm to get the composition right is very, very difficult to do. Never mind holding it steady enough to get a sharp image. So I've, you know, as much as possible, you kind of need to be finding something to lean this on, or using a tripod, which I guess I could have done. And also, because this is kind of a bit of an oldish camera nowadays, you know, it's I don't know, 9-year-old design, 10-year-old design, something like that. And it's a DSLR. And I've got used to shooting with a mirrorless, and I never thought I would say this, but I miss the electronic viewfinder, because with the electronic viewfinder, what I'm seeing through the viewfinder is not only a good representation of what the image is going to be, but also it's got all of the information. It's got the histogram, it's got the artificial horizon, you know, it's got all of the stuff that I would normally like to see. And when I shoot, I can see a preview of the images coming up in there as well. Whereas with this, if I want to see any of that information, I've got to then look at the back of the screen, and there's no way you can shoot with this lens handheld using live view. It's just not possible. And it's made it very difficult to shoot any video with this, because you can only shoot video using live view, not through the viewfinder. So it's been a bit tricky. Having said that, it's been a lot of fun, and it's been a great opportunity to bring this venerable old camera back out of retirement, because I still love shooting with it, even though I choose to use the little one most of the time, or nearly all of the time now. Maybe for wildlife this is a good option. We'll have to see what I decide to do in the future. So the answer is a qualified yes, this is a better solution, but it's blooming heavy. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, likes, shares and comments are all really appreciated. If you've enjoyed this video and you're new here and you're not a subscriber, then don't forget to hit that subscribe button before you go and see what else I get up to in the future. And as always, I really appreciate you taking the time to watch, so thank you very much. And until the next video, bye.